And a very good morning to you. Welcome to K24 this morning. It's time for our newspaper review, as always, looking at the big stories making headlines right across our dailies. And of course, also just digging deeper to our main topic of the day. Today it's all about Parliament's scorecard. Where does it stand so far? Of course, probably 2 years or less before they wind up their term, if they are not dissolved, that is. But where does it stand so far? That's a conversation we'll be having this morning right here in studio and without as well. But even as you do that, if you haven't gotten yourself a copy of your People Daily, I suggest you do that. And you don't need to leave your living room if you're watching here. Or if you're in the office and you're watching from there, you can get your PD straight to your phone, all courtesy of the People Daily and Safaricom. Now, the number that you dial is *550 *4#. Once again, the number is *550 *4#. Dial that number, get yourself a copy of your People Daily straight to your phone for only 10 shillings, regardless of where you are across the country. It's a world of convenience brought to you by the PD and Safaricom. So once again, *550 *4#. And on the front page of the PD, even as you get your e-paper on your phone, it's murder for Aisha Jumwa, almost 1 year after being involved in an election fracas that left one dead and many injured. DPP says Malindi MP and her bodyguard will be answerable for the killing. This coming in yesterday. You can find that story in detail on page 3 of your People Daily as well. Also in the PD, COVID could affect second phase of schools reopening. Officials are monitoring the recent surge in infections, warning another lockdown is possible. Of course, Ministry of Health officials have been urging Kenyans to stick to the protocols that the ministry has given, even as they see infection rates rising as we move forward. So that's a key issue of concern, and you can get that story on page 4 of your People Daily. Also in the PD, 5-judge bench deciding fate of MPs, Maraga to defend his advisory. That story is on page 2, and we'll be talking about that as well right here on the show. So those are some of the stories that you can get in your copy of your People Daily. Once again, you can get it on your phone wherever you are across the country, even in traffic, if you did want to download your copy. And the number that you dial is *550 *4#. No data needed, no mobile app, just that number, *550 *4#. Let's move it along from the PD to the Daily Nation's front page. Envoys pile pressure on Uhuru and Ruto. Concerned about the heightened tension between President Kenyatta and Deputy President William Ruto, representatives of foreign countries have called on the leaders and the supporters to tone down the rhetoric. Allies of the two leaders vow to oppose any political deal. So seems a standoff could be looming as far as this is concerned. And that's the main story on page 4 of your Daily Nation. Also in the Daily Nation, why murder charge spells doom for MP Aisha Jumwa. The details of embattled Malindi MP and her political future, even as these charges land at her doorstep. Also in the Daily Nation, unions big no to proposed pay rise for teachers. 30%, the highest percentage increase in basic pay proposed by the TSC, but not, and of course led by SG, giving a big no to that proposition. You can get the details of that on page 7 of your Daily Nation this morning. On the front page of the Standard now, we are talking about no handshake for you, Raila allies tell Ruto. Jubilee and ODM politicians take hard positions on reports of reconciling the president and his deputy after 4 months of fighting. They are talking about a unity bid that is in the offing. Yesterday we heard about religious leaders, business leaders, and some elders who are trying to broker some sort of peace between these two people. But today, the headline of the Standard talking about a totally different story. That is on page 5 of your Standard today. Also in your Standard, 21 million broke Kenyans take a record 245 billion shilling Fuliza loan in 1 year. If you see a Kenyan on phone, don't suspect they are merely texting. It's likely that they are taking a loan. Every second, Safaricom processes 6 transactions or 492,480 shillings per day. Staggering statistics right there, and you can find it on page 37 of your Standard this morning. On to the Star now. Hardliners in fight to scuttle Uhuru Ruto truce. As Kenyatta leads cabinet to 2-day retreat at KWS Training Center in Manyani, prominent clerics have been frantically reaching out to restore unity in Jubilee. That story is there, but also, as you can see, the picture of MPs literally putting their best foot forward. This happened yesterday. MPs dazzling Jerusalem moves strike the right chord. does it. As you can see right there, we have Majority Leader Amos Kimunya, Minority Leader John Badi leading from the front at Parliament building yesterday as that happened. That story can be found in your copy of your Star. Front page of the Business Daily now. And finally, Safaricom contributes to 6% of the GDP in 1 year. Injection is 9 times the firm's profit during the period under review, and just showing just how big this company is, a real behemoth as far as the East and Central African economy is concerned. And you can get the details of that particular story in your copy of your Business Daily right here. So as you can see, what the headlines bring this morning, even as you get ready to leave your house or get into your business proper. But also on the show, we're giving Parliament a scorecard in terms of their duty so far and where they stand as far as that's concerned. So welcome aboard. If you have any questions or comments, we also have a question of the day. Welcome. This is K24 This Morning. Welcome back. And even as we do that, we do have our question of the day. Let's put it up on screen. What has been this Parliament's biggest achievement? From where you stand and what you've seen and what you've experienced, what has been this Parliament's biggest achievement? You can send the WhatsApp message on the bottom of the screen. That's a WhatsApp number right there. Also, you can get me on Twitter at I am Jeff Mote or at K24 TV. What has been this Parliament's biggest achievement from where you stand? Let me know. Of course, I will be sampling some of your feedback even as we go through the show. Let me get to my panelists in studio. He's been away for quite a while, had a hiatus, now back. Governance expert Gabriel Muthuma. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you doing?
Karibu sana. Welcome back.
Asante sana.
Even Dr. Boni Halwale was wondering where you had gone to.
COVID. Daktari here is saying I'm always afraid of COVID.
Right.
But, you know, I think we've been following the Public Order Act quite well. I think the country is starting to open up, Daktari. You saw Kenya played Zambia the other day. Right. Even though the stadium did not have fans. You know, Nyayo Stadium has been opened. I was there. It's an amazing, amazing stadium. So apart from keeping away, I've also been attending into social matters. Okay. Yes. Okay, fantastic stuff. It's good to have you back. Asante sana. We also have Dr. Boni Halwale. Good morning, Dr.
Good morning, and thank you very much. He owes me.
Right.
Yeah, while he was in a bunker, I don't know what kind of bunker it is that can protect somebody from a virus. But all the same, while he was there, he kept on cheering me on. As I was being tear gassed, giving humanitarian relief to COVID victims, he was cheering me on. Take them on, take them on. Right. Some terrible fellow.
Well, as you say, Gambia promises are dead, so please pay up. Pay up to Daktari.
That's a good one. That's a good one coming from Daktari.
We also have Millie Luanga joining the conversation via Skype. She's in Nairobi as well, but joining the conversation virtually. Good morning, Millie.
Good morning.
Karibu sana.
Good morning, everyone.
Asante sana. Thanks for making time this morning, even as we start the show. As you look at this particular affair, even before we get into Parliament and its scorecard, it's a question we were asking Boni right here. And we're looking at the front page of the Standard. No handshake for you, Raila allies tell Ruto. Some of the quotes that the Standard is carrying today. Minor Commander, the Ruto group is trying to use the true stocks to slow down our support for Raila. We cannot be distracted with the way Ruto is disrespecting the president who wants to associate with him. That's what Minor Commander says. Kipchumba Murkomen, on the other hand, forget the truce. What you're asking is simple. Respect the DP and restore his duties. Ask the juniors to behave with decorum. Political handshake is not our priority right now. Dr. Halwale, because we looked at you as a person who might have the most information as far as this is concerned. As of yesterday, we had business leaders and clerics who are trying to form some sort of truce between the two. Is there some light at the end of the tunnel as far as this is concerned?
Allow me to talk to the 4 guys who are on the front page. Who told them that they are under an obligation to comment on everything? Surely on this matter, the people who are best placed to make a comment that would be informed are either the president, is either the president or the deputy president. Because who knows what it is that is supposed to have put them aside, apart. For all we know, it could be personal, it could be political, it could be social. It's only them who can tell us. Then upon hearing what they have to say, then we can speak to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right now it's still a lot of speculation from all.
A lot of speculation, and it would serve this country very well if we left this matter to the Deputy President and His Excellency President Uhuru.
Okay.
The reason being, any truth must be welcomed by all Kenyans. So why would some people think that it is a bad thing? Why would some people think that it is a good thing when they don't know?
Right.
We don't know.
Okay, let's leave it at that. As we get more details on that, then you'll definitely be able to speak to that. Let's get to our main topic today, and it's all about a Parliament scorecard right now. Gabi, let me come to you on this one, because we're looking at a Parliament where some people have said, as far as its oversight role has been concerned, very, very wanting. What's your take on that? I mean, this is a Parliament where you've had 10,000 shillings been given out in toilets, you know, and all manner of things going on right there. What do you think in terms of them playing their oversight role?
Well, thank you, Jeff. First of all, you look at that agenda in two ways. One, we start with what you've said. What is the behavior of Parliament? How have they treated themselves and the institution of Parliament? To an extent, yes, when you bring such issues, there has been serious issues or deficits that have affected that house. Key to the fact what you're talking, that was during the sugar bill, and you saw people receiving 10,000 shillings, and you know that has actually been the mantra that unaenda kwa choo unapatiwa yako. Half of the members of Parliament did not even know what that 10,000 shillings was for. So I think there was a time they brought the shame into that honorable house, and I think if we start looking from 2017 to now, let us look at it from that one side, which I told you that's one item you can look at the agenda, how they've behaved, and also what they have been able to pass. There has been serious crucial bills that have come to that house. There has been the president agenda, which many people thought would be sabotaged starting from 2017. That has not happened. There has been critical bills, Jeff, that have been able to pass. If you're looking from 2017 to now, you're looking at about 118 bills which have come to the floor of the House. There has been issues of MPs coming together to pass certain legislation, which has been very good. Yet at the same time, we have seen MPs who would say they are cows. You know, these are things that have come out to say, Daktari, they are, you know, we are told to go this direction, we go that direction. That's not the language I'd expect from an MP. I'd expect somebody with a lot of sobriety who's able to look at things and legislation that is able to provide good foresight for Wanjiko. So there has been, we can give a good score when it comes to supporting the agenda of government, which have not failed or been sabotaged, which is a good thing. But also, we must also talk about the behavior of members, which, as you say, has actually been wanting. And I'll allow Daktari to comment on that. So those are two areas.
Okay.
You cannot judge them harshly anyway, because you are looking at two divides.
Okay.
The behavior of members and what they've been able to achieve. It's just like you say, you know what, when you're looking at what you're able to do, you can say, this is what I've been able to achieve.
Right.
But then your behavior may also be wanting.
Right.
What that you've been achieved with, but with a lot of problems, yet you've been able to achieve that which has been put in front of you, but with a lot of problems. So it is always good to strike a balance of what has come to the House and passed, agendas of government which have not been passed. Key among them, maybe you saw them debating the pandemic and how to manage a pandemic. That bill, I think, is still in the House. Those are some of the good things that have come through that House and have been able to be worked on. The Big Four agenda. You've seen there has been the water bill, there has been the agricultural bill. There are several bills which have come to the House which have been able to be passed. And with that one, we give them kudos. But the behavior of the House, you know, as far as they are dancing the Jerusalem, which they are showing they are still, you know, and bring some element of pomp and color. I think we can congratulate them for that oneness. Okay. But there's still a lot that needs to be desired. For the next 2 years, I think we'll be looking to see what comes out of that House. Okay,
let me get Millie in on this one as well, because when you look at Parliament as a whole, and we talk about both houses here, the Senate and the National Assembly, we're looking at, you know, basically roles of representation, legislation, oversight as well. From where you stand, have they managed to deliver the goods for the people they represent in these houses?
I think that they're getting there. And I say this because this second, much as it's a this would be the second parliament under the current constitutional dispensation. And one of the things that we note is that the definition of parliament as anticipated under the Constitution is emerging a little bit clearer. I say this because we have been able to see the minority and the majority side being more clearly defined. I think it is still unfortunate that Kenyans still talk about opposition and don't see them as minority and majority, so that they see parliament as one. But we're beginning to consciously see parliament more as one, and that is a plus, because then we will be able to focus on the role of parliament as a house, parliament as an institution, and parliament as an arm of government. So I think they have tried. I said this very cognizant of the fact that we are talking about both the Senate and the National Assembly. The leadership, of course, in the National Assembly has been much more prominent, has come out more clearly in guiding the situations or the discussions within the House. Within Senate, we saw that being questioned a bit, and that, of course, was with the division bill that took forever to pass at the Senate, which then, of course, may have cast the Senate in a slightly negative light. But prior to that, I think that Senate had also been playing its role pretty well. The leadership giving guidance to the House, coalescing or collating their members around issues that they think were important. I think that they have also been playing their oversight role pretty well, both houses, both sides of the House, in summoning the various parties. I know as Kenyans we are very frustrated by the fact that they summon these people, and once these people come, at the end of the day, the report is either not adopted or there's nothing strong that comes out of it. But from my perspective, maybe because I'm a largely optimistic person, I think it is good that at least the executive is aware that there's somebody watching, and they'll have to deal with that headache at the end of the day. There will be someone somewhere and they'll have to answer. So that's a plus for Parliament as well.
Because as they started their term, we had the majority, the ruling party, speaking about them having a super majority, and how on this particular issue they'd be able to shepherd any bill that comes to the House all the way to completion. But now in hindsight, we are seeing this super majority actually being like the super crack within the party. And I mean, Parliament, this being the biggest weakness for anything to be done, even when you look at revenue allocation at the Senate, or all these matters that we thought would be done and dusted very quickly. This is where the problem lies. What's your assessment on that?
If Martin Shikuku was still alive, who was a stickler for parliamentary procedures and functions, he would have said Parliament is dead. And many Kenyans would have agreed with him. And anybody in doubt that Parliament is dead, please remember what the Chief Justice, David Maraga, has done. He's confirming that actually Parliament is dead. Be it as it may, you have to be fair. You cannot decide whether they have failed or succeeded without judging them against what their function is. Mm-hmm. One, Parliament is expected to give the executive budget. Have they done? Mm-hmm. Yes. They have done very well. Every financial year, they have given the executive money. The fact that the executive has gone on and run away with that money, don't blame our MPs. So they have scored 25%.
Shouldn't they come back
as far as the budget is concerned?
Shouldn't they come back and oversight that money when the executive runs away with it?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
So on budget, 25%. On issue of oversight, have they succeeded? No. What have they scored? 0. If it was not the robust media that we have in the country, nobody would have known or dared to talk about the theft of COVID-19 funds. The way the money has been plundered is as if there is no parliament. I mean, the parliamentarians we have now are such a cowards that to pronounce a word like Samanza, daughter of Nyokabi, sister of Uhuru, it looks like it's sacrilege. They should be speaking to such issues so that whoever is tempted to repeat what these people are doing realizes that we have a parliament which is functioning in Kenya. So they have scored 0. On the issue of representing Wanjiku, they have scored 0 because in the same parliament, they have allowed the president or rather the executive, to borrow and continue borrowing without bothering that they have to cushion Wanjiku, who is supposed to bear the burden of the borrowing. They have failed. They have kept quiet when Wanjiku is being evicted in the wee hours of the night during the very cold weather of Nairobi from their residences in Kariobanki, when hustlers are being evicted in Nakuru. As I saw this yesterday when I was coming into Nairobi, Parliament is quiet. So they have scored 0. And then finally, on the issue of the legislation, they have scored each 0 because for 10 years, this Parliament has been unable to effect the 2/3 gender rule. It is serious. And now that Maraga has done what he has done, Gabriel, have discovered they have even failed on another bigger thing. Parliament needed to have debated a bill that would have given effect to an act of Parliament that would speak to the dissolution of Parliament. We need today to have in place the Dissolution of Parliament Act. If it was there, the President would now be, having been directed by the Chief Justice rightly, he would now be observing the Dissolution of Parliament Act as passed by Parliament, and now the President must dissolve Parliament. But there is no procedure.
Do you think that's by design or by default?
It is by their failure. A member of Parliament ought to have come up with that bill, but in the absence of an imaginative member of Parliament, we have Kenyans, for God's sake, a commission that is very expensive called the Law Reform Commission. The Law Reform Commission has the responsibility to make sure that all the laws of this country are aligned with the Constitution of 2010. So they keep on drawing salaries, and yet a critical issue like a bill to provide for the method of dissolving Parliament upon that pronouncement by the Chief Justice has never been thought about by the Law Reform Commission. So the long and short of what I've said is that Parliament has scored, unfortunately, only 25% out of what they think they have done.
Okay. I want to come to you, Gabi, on this one as we're getting closer to our first break, because some issues that Parliament raise with what you talk about in terms of oversight, in terms of pushing back the executive, it's all about the money, and you have to play to your piper's tune. That's why I think some members of Parliament, Honorable Kioni, came up with a proposition to have some of their funds ring-fenced so that whatever they do, that money can't be touched and they're not beholden to anyone. Do you think that's a solution to give them a better rating?
Jeff, we are living in very complex times. The issue of ring-fencing funds, albeit it may be a good thing, we are living on very interesting times. Who thought that we would be, fighting a pandemic called COVID? So imagine you had ring-fenced funds, and comes a pandemic like this where that funding or where that money must actually be utilized. What will you do? I mean, see, and this is why I'm saying, such bills, albeit the fact may mean well, does not augur well with the sophisticates of the 21st century. What probably I would call upon, the conversation that we should be having as a country, as a nation, is how do we safeguard the independence and the integrity of Parliament, which is very key and should remain sacrosanct. I mean, how do we do that? All right? We are told of a Parliament that has taken time to even pass the 2/3 gender bill. We are told of a Parliament, just the other day you saw the filibustering and the delayed tactics that was played upon on the revenue allocation bill. You saw the sugar bill, that we were just discussing here with Daktari. How do we go on to say that what comes to the House, or what must come out of that House, is something which has passed the test of integrity? Remember, these are the people who make our laws. All right? So the issue of ring-fencing, monies or not doing it, once you give the money to any arm of government that you've, whether it's judiciary, whether it's executive, where you've created the budget, and that money has actually been allocated to areas where you've put that money. The question of going forward to ensure that that money is used in the right ways and up to the intended purpose is what creates now the value of a nation. So this is not Parliament alone, even though we may try and work on a scorecard for them. And that's why I am I'm very careful not to say that I'm going to use a one-size-fits-all in saying this is how I'm giving Parliament a scorecard. Like Dr. has said, there are areas that they've done quite well. There are other areas that they have failed and failed miserably. So how do we balance and ensure that that House remains independent, and it is safeguarded as far as integrity is concerned? Do we start from the voter side of things when we are electing these people who represent us in Parliament and the Senate? And I believe half of the time that's where we should begin. So this is a conversation this country should have, so that every time we sit down, we are talking about the bills that Parliament has been able to pass. If you ask any parliamentarian today, ask them, and you are friends to many, and you invite most of them into your studio, ask them what are the main reasons as to why you never passed the two-thirds gender bill. The kind of filibustering you'll hear here, I mean, you'll be like, okay, you've heard all this time. So we still need to have this conversation as we move along. And at the end of the day, leave this House as united as our forefathers intended it to be, and one House where when you pass out, you realize this is where our laws of this country are made, that the respect of what Daktari is saying, the respect which we gave out to the likes of Shikuku, the respect that we gave out to the likes of Matiba, the respect that we gave out to those people who really changed this country through that House, is well guarded.
Okay, let's take a short break at that particular point in time, of course, as well. We're taking your feedback, even as we look at the August House as a whole. Where does it stand as far as this is concerned? Have they delivered the goods? That's what we want to know. We'll be having a question of the day that we'll be putting up on screen for you to give your feedback on. There we have it. What has been this Parliament's biggest achievement? Once again, what has been this Parliament's biggest achievement? The WhatsApp number is at the bottom of the screen. You can also get me on Twitter at @IamJeffMote or at K24 TV as we talk about that. Take a short break right now. As we come back after the break, of course, we'll be looking at that. And also, don't forget, you can get yourself a copy of your PD. It's only 10 shillings. The number that you dial, *550*4#. Short break, back with more.